to the class. Good. I think they've changed them. So, hey, welcome everyone. And I'm here with, this is Dawn Doherty. I'm here with my love, my sister, my soul, Lorendi Roos. So happy to be with you here, Lorendi, and to step through this technique that you and I developed together in our work.
Yeah, Dawn, thank you so much for allowing me to share this time with you this afternoon so we can work. I'm so excited to see some of the work that you've been doing, and certainly I'll be happy to share some of the work I've been doing, but just like you said, so honored to be walking beside you, shoulder to shoulder.
Yes, and you and I have dedicated our lives to helping others elevate their existence here, elevate not only their lives, but their livelihoods. You know, you and I believe that there is a reason why we're here. And when we come from that place of purpose, everything flows. When we understand what gets in our way and we have a practice for releasing what holds us back, then the floodgates of opportunity open for us. Yeah?
Absolutely. It reminds me, Dawn, I was working with a couple earlier this week, and they're new to this idea of bringing in what feels good as far as retraining our mind, whatever that is. And you and I are going to talk a little bit about that. Bringing that in and then beginning the practice and then reaping the benefits and seeing what happens as a result of consistent, frequent practice. And one of the things they asked me was, well, when are things going to start to shift? When am I going to stop attracting people, such negative people into my life? And of course, they're fairly new in this process. So I just said, over time, your mind will change. And as a result, you will begin to attract people into your life who are on a similar path. And I promise you, it will happen. And Dawn, isn't it so great that we have enough mileage behind us now to know that that's the truth? In full confidence, we can make that assurance.
Yeah, because you and I have seen it in our lives. We've seen it in the people we help. And we really, we want you to understand that some of you are working with beliefs, habits, old ways of being that you've built up for decades. So why would you have an expectation that in 1 week or 2 weeks you would, release yourself from that? That's like me being 200 pounds overweight and going to the gym and expecting, I'll be at my fighting weight in 2 weeks. But we have to start somewhere.
Exactly. And we start, and what we do know is that through consistent, frequent dedication, the benefits start showing up much more quickly than we would have imagined, for sure.
Exactly. So again, welcome. What we're going to do today, Lorendi and I are going to unveil the one source of everything that ails you, the one source of what is causing your physical maladies, the one source that's causing the struggle in your work, the one source that's standing in between you and everything that you desire in your life. So we're going to talk about that and the statistics around that one source. And then we're going to jump right into the process, what you can do on a daily basis to become lighter and lighter. And when we become lighter, you and I talk about, we love our Carolyn Mace. She speaks about the fact that weight, W-E-I-G-H-T equals W-A-I-T. So the more weighed down I am by beliefs, old stories, then the longer it's going to take for me to realize that which I desire in my life and in my business. So you and I understand that formula. So we're going to help you all perform an audit that you do on a daily basis. And then the second piece of it is the practice for releasing that weight. So with each passing day, you're moving towards your expanded self, right? You're moving towards, and you know what? We have somebody on the line here that I'm just going to mute. So we have quiet. So wonderful. So, and what would you like to add to that, Lorendi?
No, I love what you just talked about, that it's about releasing. And so many of us want to pile more on. And what we have the opportunity to do is release and relieve. So it's it's so different than the way most of us were taught. We have this opportunity. So
we need, so many of us think, wow, for me to change my life, I have to do more stuff.
yeah.
And what we're speaking about here, this practice of, 15 minutes or so a day of increased awareness will have you getting rid of stress. So I just let the cat out of the bag, and I'm going to go right to a screen that I want to share with you, Lorendi, around the statistics of stress. And remember, we talked about what is the one source that is responsible for all of my struggles. All disease starts with stress. And, we're speaking about life-threatening diseases. Everything begins with that dis-ease of thought. And that's what the definition of stress is. And I know you have a lot to say about this before we go to this, as we go to this chart. What more would you add to that?
Well, one of the things I was going to share, Dawn, was before we jumped on, we were talking about Dr. Joe Tata, who has done a lot of work around this. And one of the things he talks about is that our brains have actually assisted us in getting in the habit of entertaining stress, dis-ease, pain, et cetera, the list goes on and on. It's almost like, we may have had an event and our body overreacted, and then we added our mind component to it, and all of a sudden we've developed ruts that where our brains are moving in, that we move in, and all of a sudden we develop these habits. And the opportunity is for us to bring in different habits, which is what we're talking about all the time, to relieve ourselves of the ruts, right?
And to own it. And that's why, this positive, I love how we talk about own it mindset. It reminds me of, Nike, just do it. Right. What I love about this is it is a choice. Things aren't happening to us. Things are happening for us. And we have an opportunity to own the experience that we see before us. You and I speak about the fact that every day we're presented with is another, chapter in the curriculum of life school that we set up for ourselves. So instead of fighting the altercations or the annoying people, for us to be able to say, wow, how amazed am I for creating this experience that is before me? And what's the new paradigm? How can I see this differently, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Before we go into the meat of all of this, I thought I'd share some of these statistics that comes from, an association that does a lot of work in all of this. And 44% of Americans feel more stressed than they did 5 years ago. Makes sense, yeah?
Yes, absolutely.
With the internet, with everything we have to catch up on, everything from the election to, today we experienced a tragedy in the New York area with train misfunctions. And and 1 in 5 Americans experience extreme stress, meaning they feel depressed, heart palpitations, shaking. 1 out of 5 of us are harboring this stress that is affecting the physicality of who we are.
Right.
Some other statistics I would point out, and you could see the screen, right, Lorendi?
Yes, absolutely. I can see it perfectly. Thank you.
Work stress causes 10% of strokes. Crazy. 60% of all human illnesses, I think this number is higher, starts with stress. 3 out of 4 doctor visits are stress-related ailments. I mean, it goes on and on and on. Heart disease, 44% lose sleep every night. 40% of stressed people overeat. So this is really the source of so much. And I know this is why you and I have dedicated our lives to helping people go back to what's true.
Yes. It's interesting, Dawn, even 35 years ago when I was studying psychology, I remember studying a book by Minirth and Meyer called Happiness is a Choice. And what we learned even back then was that 80% of all hospitalized patients, that their presenting dis-ease was a result of some type of mental strain, stress, depression, etc., that then manifested in their physicality. So this is not new news, but we're just getting more and more data to support the importance of de-stressing and relieving and releasing. So
yeah, and just the money that gets thrown at turning all of this around. And what you and I have discovered is when we own it, when we bring a simple practice into our day, when we really understand, and you and I have discovered there are 4 ways we're weighted down, and when we truly understand this and take ourselves through it, and instead of pointing fingers or throwing out excuses, become 100% responsible for our experience, we are able to relieve what most people live with for hours and hours.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah. So I wanted to share that. And what I'm going to do right now, Lorendi, is I'm going to share the screen of my little drawing iPad here on this first page where we can get started. And I know that you and I, when we work with clients, we teach them that peace comes first. That when they have a challenge, when they are feeling something in their body that's bothersome, to press the pause button.
The most important step. We call it pause for peace.
Yes.
Yes.
And I've had clients who have called me who have really been at a very stressful point. One in particular that I can think of who, her world was crashing down around her. She had some really big challenges that were popping up for her in her life. And she was about to get out of her car and go into the office in this state of mind.
Yeah.
And I said, pause, get back in the car. And actually, she decided to go home and give herself some time to just compose herself. And really what unfolded for her when she was able to go through this and ask for help, so many beautiful opportunities came up for her. She had a financial issue. That challenge was met by somebody who helped her just when she asked for help. So we rush into believing that we have this extreme responsibility to, be there for other people. And really our deepest responsibility is to ourselves. So before we start this, we want to emphasize that. Yeah.
Yeah. I had to take one of those afternoons for myself just this week, Dawn, because, we do a lot of work with a lot of people. And it's easy to forget ourselves. And so one afternoon earlier this week, I ended up checking out 3 hours early so that I could recenter and renourish myself. And it made all the difference for the balance and the remainder of my week, rather than what we would normally do is push through, push through, right?
And it's a distraction. It's an old story that we're telling us that, winners never quit, quitters never win. Remember that old,
right.
And there's nothing further from the truth, because people who pause, peace first practitioners live longer.
Right. And I actually accomplish more.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you know that you and I are students of A Course in Miracles, and I do transcendental meditation. And in that medium, the Maharishi talks about the fact that you get it's like a lubricant, like this, as a result of doing this peace first practice. It's as if this lubricating force enters your life, and all of a sudden, all of the things that were struggles before flow. And we've experienced that.
Absolutely.
So here's a practice we have our clients stepping through, and we really want for you to take into your day and integrate. And it will really blow you away how much time you will recover, wasted time you'll recover. You know, you and I are practitioners of energetic self-perception, and we do an assessment, and we show people every day how when they're not in stress, they're wasting 2.5 hours a day. When they are in stress, we have some clients that waste, 8 to 10 hours a day just being in that state of funk.
Right. Yeah. Thinking I'm going to persevere through if I can just get through today. And that's what you'll do, is just get through.
You'll just get through by the skin of your teeth.
Exactly.
And we want you to have fun.
Yeah.
And we
absolutely.
want you to have breakthroughs. And what we're going to show you today, I've never been more creative. And I know that so much is coming together for you because we do this peace practice, this own it mindset. So the first part we want to introduce to you is what we call the audit. So, so the first thing, and you and I are trained in hypnotherapy, and a lot of these aspects of what we're going to show you today, you can supercharge your experience by doing a guided visualization session with either Lorendi or myself. And we'll talk to you about how that shows up in this process. But the first thing, so here you are. You have this challenge. Like I was speaking to a client yesterday, and she has this challenge that all day long she gets interrupted for stupid things in her office. So you've heard that one before.
Yes. Right? That's a famous one. Everyone always interrupts me.
Everybody always interrupts me.
Everyone interrupts me.
So what is the bothersome issue or challenge? And that's the first thing we want to do in this process, because if we're not at peace, it's because there is some bothersome issue or challenge. And we want to articulate that focused statement as well as possible. When you coach with Lorendi or myself, when we do our coaching sessions with you, we help you get very specific with that. And Lorendi, is there something that comes to your mind that you would volunteer here, or just something that we can put in here, maybe a recent?
Sure. I would use that. Something that was real live, up and personal for me this week was that some of my clients or prospective clients just weren't getting me. My prospective clients just weren't getting me.
Clients weren't getting me. Okay.
Yeah. So I wasn't able to convert as many prospects to clients as I had believed was necessary. So
clients, and how frustrating is that, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So here, this is a bothersome issue, a challenge. So on a scale from 0 to 10, when you are feeling that, what would you say that would have been in that moment?
11.
Okay. So
Dawn, I like to have fun, and I take myself very seriously. We have a world to save, Dawn, and they're not getting us.
No, they are not getting us.
Yeah.
There's 100 people here with us today. What's up with this? Really, this is brilliance that we're sharing. So we're looking forward to those of you who are going to see this on the recording. So that's the first thing we want to do. We want to call out, what is the bothersome issue or challenge? A client of mine who's in the dating world, and a lot of our clients are very high-powered women who have sacrificed their personal life for their careers, and now all of a sudden, they're out there on Tinder. They're out there in the world, and I applaud them. And they're going through the motion of finding a companion, and this person, it's bothersome for them that they don't have that support in their life right now. Mm-hmm. So the second piece of all of this is our beliefs. Getting really frank about, what are the limiting thoughts? What is the story that I'm telling myself that's associated with this issue? So in this particular case, let's talk about what that could have been for you.
No, I'll tell you what it was. Mm-hmm. This is good. Yeah, for me, it was, the belief was that people aren't going to get me, and then therefore I won't be able to close enough business, and then therefore I won't have enough money to pay my bills, and the list goes on and on and on.
Yeah, money to pay my bills. Um, you know, this, how can I turn, I've been trying so hard for so long. How can I turn this around? All of those. So the
Right.
story becomes the struggling, consultant, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that there's just so much out there, or maybe I'm going down the wrong path. All of those beliefs,
Right.
right? So,
Mm-hmm.
we want to just get those down. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so the third piece is we love this one, right? How are you invested in the I'll be happier when? And this really centers around trust, because
Yeah.
when we can trust that we are in the perfect place at the perfect time,
Mm-hmm.
this does not become something that has us stopped in our tracks. When we don't trust that
Mm-hmm.
we are in the perfect place at the perfect time, we tell ourselves I'll be happier when story. So for you in this particular instance, your I'll be happier when story is I'll be happier when I have more clients, right? What else?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I have more reserves in the bank,
Reserves in the bank,
when, some of my debts are paid off.
debt paid off. Yeah, you're going to be happier
Right.
then, that period in the
Mm-hmm.
future when all of this is going to happen for you. And that robs us from the only thing that's real, which is
Mm-hmm.
current moment, right?
Yep.
So you and I, we speak about what we call future hopping. And this is something big concept in A Course in Miracles, that we throw away the opportunity to experience the miracles that are our birthrights, that come to us when we are fully present, when we interpret the present moment by something that's happened in the past, so we prevent
Mm-hmm.
a future outcome. So
Right.
this is the next part, the trigger. So if I am not trusting, if I believe that I'm going to be happier when I have more clients, when I have more cash in reserve, what this means is this is bringing up something earlier on, an embedded memory.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not upset for the reason I believe I am. I'm not upset today, Tuesday, because my client today isn't getting me. You and I know that really this goes back to an embedded memory and a
Right.
belief that was formed at that time. And that's why you and I are practitioners of hypnosis and guided visualization, because boy, when you are able to have one of those sessions with Lorendi or myself, what you go to speaks volumes. And I could tell you how, clients of mine went back to a vision of being in a garden with their grandmother at the age of 5, and how that opened up so much to that particular client relative to how they were experiencing. So, how in your situation here, when have you felt this way in the past? Anything come up for you?
Right. I think in the immediate past, it would be when I had made an investment with a partner um, that I hadn't done enough homework around. And so there was always, next week, he would say, we're going to get this turned around next week, or, so that was coming up. But also speaking to your guided visualization, I also, through some past life work that, you and I are trained in, had done some past work around my soul believing because of I was given to a father of esteem in this past life, and the father of esteem was always diminishing what we had because we didn't want to appear to the people in our community as being too rich or wealthy, because then it would all be taken away. So this stuff travels with us, right? And
Yeah.
it's an opportunity to do healing around this. And quite honestly, Dawn, till you just walked me through this, I had completely negated my past life and how that's continuing.
How
There's
there's a
still work to
stranger.
do. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So this is why I love how you and I go out into the world with our guided visualization and hypnosis, because, there are people out there that are selling past life regression, and there isn't, there isn't like an application. Like, this isn't a parlor trick we're talking about here. We're speaking about going to the source of something that continues to show up for you. And what we're showing you here is we're not upset for the reasons we believe we are, because Lorendi can now even see in this particular situation that what she was feeling on Tuesday with this feeling of not being, clients not getting her, goes back to a very early embedded memory. I mean, even one before this lifetime, in your situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Our clients, our community wasn't getting us. We were going to be misunderstood.
How funny, how amazing that we're connecting the dots here.
Yeah.
So, awesome. So then the next piece of all of this is owning how we put so much power in wanting people to show up for us in a certain way. So it's really getting specific around what role have I ascribed to this person or to this situation. And in this particular situation, the role to these people that you were speaking to, how you ascribed a role to them, and that role was?
Yeah, so in this case, my role was that they were going to help me solve what I believed was a cash flow problem. Right? I believed it was a cash flow problem. And I can't even tell you, Dawn, because, I do a decent amount of work in the recovery community. And whenever we talk to someone who's dependent or addicted, always it's a cash flow problem. And and so like in that, we always, and we're gentle and compassionate, but one of our processes is to help them understand you don't have a cash flow problem, you have a spiritual problem. And voila, it's coming back full circle.
Yeah. So that's part one. There's two parts to this. The first one part is the audit, and then the second part is the process. So of course, when you have, when you're doing this on a daily basis, and you and I have worksheets that we're going to, that will be on the page that we are sharing this recording on. When you're able to step through, okay, what's the issue? What are the beliefs associated with this? How is my trust showing up here? What is this triggering? And owning the expectations. Then I'm really able to put on the table, okay, wow, oh wait, I'm giving this client the role of solving my cash flow problem. I mean, talk about like putting your personal power in the hands of somebody else. So you can see how this is insanity. Yeah. And we do this on a daily basis. So this is the own it audit. It's like, I am 100% owning the way I felt that 10 feeling of stress around how my clients weren't getting me. I'm owning it.
And it's how fun it is to walk through this process. This is not heavy. This is not tears in my beer. This is such a sense of relief. Yeah. I could have had a V8. And this is, as coaches, there's so many coaches out there that don't understand the inner work versus the outer work, how to get somebody to SMART goals. They'll get right, to this is what you need to do. And we're going to show you how so elegantly this process takes somebody to a SMART goal, because what we're going to do is we're going to identify a new paradigm, which is a new intention. And then we work with our clients as to what the next 2 steps are for them to move towards that new paradigm. That's what coaching is, folks. Yes, absolutely.
Ay. Love it. Okay. You see this, right? Part 2. So this is the own it practice. Now that we have the audit done, we're going to, this is almost like a meditation right? The practice that shouldn't take you more than 5 minutes once you take the 10 minutes to do what we did before. So number 1, I'll do number 1, you do number 2. This is something you and I have been showing our clients over and over again. So we believe responsibility, right? Responsibility is about, we are one. So if it's happening inside of me, if it's happening in front of me, right? It's inside of me to heal. Meaning every experience, everything that gets plugged into our field of experience is a discomfort that we ordered. It's as if, we gave that person who's annoying us the role, the script to read, just so we can move through what we intended to move through when we came here, so we can gain more and more personal power.
Right.
And your words around that, any other words, what would you add to that?
No, I agree. And when we get that what's outside of me is a pure reflection of what's going on inside of me, it is such a simpler process, because I don't have to go out and fix my clients, right? I take responsibility for doing the inner work to figure out why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling.
So in your particular situation with this, how does this show up for you? I'm taking responsibility.
Yeah, so I'm taking responsibility that inside of me, I believe that I have a cash flow problem, when really what I'm experiencing is my lack of trust. It's a lack of trust that I am exactly where I'm supposed to be.
I'm at the perfect place at the perfect time.
Right. The perfect circumstances present themselves for my continued growth.
Yes. And that's a truth statement. And we're going to talk about those truth statements. And
Right.
when you work with us individually, our clients have their specific truth statements that are very, very relevant to, where they are in their state of development. And these truth statements are the most powerful devices you can connect with to power your way through to your expanded self. Yeah.
Yes.
So then the second piece is forgiveness. So tell us how that shows up for this.
Yeah. So forgiveness is that we talk about, Dawn, is not what many people, especially in Western philosophical circles, think of. Forgiveness is about giving forward. And this is looking at the privilege and the opportunity to give of myself forward from a place of complete self-full expression. And what that means is that the universe or my perfect circumstances may in fact present opportunities where I'm able to give myself forward and step into a practice of healing of my own mind. And so we use a practice based on the ancient wisdom of Ho'oponopono that really sets and anchors this in. And Dawn, you and I have used this in a myriad and multiple situations. And again, the whole purpose is to bring peace into our lives immediately, so that we can operate from a place of strength in the best place that we can.
Yes. So like in this particular situation, you took the responsibility. Hey, you know what? If it's in front of me, it's inside of me. This cash flow problem is really about my issues with trust. Number two, I forgive myself. I forgive that client who, showed up on cue, reading the lines that I needed to hear.
Right.
You to own this. And I forgive the situation. And forgiveness is done, you and I, silently. We say forgiveness is done silently. So many of you think, because this is what we were conditioned to believe, is we apologize. That's what forgiveness is.
Yeah. That is not what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, responsibility, the forgiveness, and then the new paradigm is the next step, which is, we love talking about this. How can I see this differently, right? That's the new paradigm. How can I see this differently? So in this situation for you, what now, we had your challenge statement before, clients don't get me. Now the new paradigm that comes from that statement, what's really true, because it's, for something to be true, it has to be true 100% of the time. So we
Right.
know clients don't get me. That means 100% of the time, 24 hours a day, clients don't get you. So it's not the truth.
Right.
So what is the truth?
Well, the truth is, and this is, from a highly elevated place, so perhaps, Dawn, you can help us walk through, but what I'm receiving for myself right here in this moment is that those I'm meant to serve and who are ready and willing and able to do this work with me are waiting in the wings. And those who don't, it's not that they don't get me, it's just they may not be far enough along the path to commit. And that's okay too. Or maybe I was only meant to be the planter of the seed, not the waterer, the nourisher, and the harvester. So again, I come from a place of trust that the perfect circumstances are showing up for me and for everyone else I stand in service of.
And I'm having chills if you could see my truth bumps on my arm. Because when we go to the SMART goals around this and the actual practical, the application, I mean, how amazing that you and I are joined on this call and recording this call. And we're going to get this out into the world. And those people that are waiting in the wings, this is an action that will have them taking action.
Right.
Right? The perfect
absolutely.
Circumstances present themselves.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love this. So that's the new paradigm, and we're going to do work, and this is where the outward coaching, this is where it begins. And we can't begin it until we do this inner work. You can't begin profound transformation until you own it. And that's why we really stress that you integrate this practice, bring this into your day. It will drive unbelievable, profound transformation. You and I've seen it in our lives and the lives of our clients. And then the seal, there's a couple of ways you could seal this based on your particular beliefs. Lorendi, you spoke about Ho'oponopono. So in your case, your go-to seal, share with everyone what that seal would look like in this process.
Yeah, so the Ho'oponopono is that this is my clearing. This is not about my clients. This is my clearing. Lorendi, I love you. Lorendi, I'm sorry for any negative energy or any, undue pain and suffering this caused you. Please forgive me and thank you. I'm cleared. I'm moving on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lorendi, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. Yeah. And since we're all connected, what we're doing, I was at a session yesterday and someone said, I don't understand how building cosmic consciousness, how my building awareness, how by me quiet in my mind, how this affects other people. I don't understand that. And you and I know that when we go to this place of peace and we heal ourselves, everyone gets elevated because we're connected. And, from a practical standpoint, for some people, they can get their heads around, well, at least they're going to see this peaceful version of who you are. And they're going to say, I'll have what she's having. Like when Harry met Sally, right? Like
exactly.
People want to emulate someone they experience with calm attentiveness.
Absolutely.
And
and that's at a minimum. And at a maximum, I'm going to be able to show up for my clients who are ready in a different way. How do you think it feels when I'm working with my current clients and I'm carrying this heaviness around? If it doesn't feel good to me, sure isn't going to feel good to them. This work is requisite. We must.
Work. There is no easy way around this, meaning, this is simple. It's not easy because we are so weighed down with old behavior, stories that we continually tell ourselves around, why we're struggling. And Randy and I are here to help you own it, to help you own it. So we talked about the audit, we did the practice, and then you and I, we help clients. I call these bonuses. This is like the icing on the cake. This is like the the accelerators. And there are two things that we bring up with our clients. The first one are the truth statements. So remember, Lorendi came up with a paradigm for herself in this particular process, which is, you know, the clients that I will do my best work with are waiting for me to show up.
Yeah, they're waiting in the wings.
The clients that I will do my best work with are waiting for me. So these are truth statements that will come to you as you do the work. And there are some truth statements that are universal principles. So you and I'll name a few universal principles and you can name a few. Maybe we'll do a little universal principle ping pong. How about that?
Okay, sounds great.
So the first one, if it's happening in front of us, it's happening inside of us. That's a universal principle, that anything that is in my field of experience is for me to move through. So
right.
I can gain more personal power. There isn't any, when I become the cause, then the effect is a more palatable life experience.
Right. One of my favorite ones is to not take anything personally, from Don Miguel Ruiz, the 4 agreements. That someone doesn't have it out for me. Someone isn't harming me by not hiring me. That this isn't, in fact, this isn't, they're hiring me or not hiring me is not the end sum game, right? They make it all personal, that, you know, what's wrong with me? They aren't getting me. Me. Making it all about me.
And it is all about, you know, it's so funny.
It's all about me, but see how I was projecting it outward?
Yeah. And that's why so many people are so concerned about what other people think about them. Like, guys, people are so in their own heads, all about themselves. They're not even seeing, you know, the fact that you have toilet paper stuck on your shoe or whatever, you know, your work is.
Right.
And some other truth statements. One is, I'm not upset for the reasons I believe I am. And we talked about that in the earlier parts of this call, where really what is happening for us, the stress that we're feeling goes back to an earlier memory that this particular situation is triggering. So when we start owning our embedded past memories, and there's nothing more powerful than doing a hypnosis session with you and I. You know, we take people to different aspects of who they are. We bring people back to earlier memories, childhood memories, and so much is unlocked when you go to that place.
Yes. Another one that comes up for me, Dawn, is that we really are all walking together, and that by me saying my clients don't get me, I was taking myself out of kind of like the inner circle, right? I was excluding myself. And, you know, one of the things, Dawn, that you and I believe is that the true reality is there is no separation. It's only my mind that takes me out of the game of hopscotch, right? Mm-hmm. And I love hopscotch. So we all walk the path together, and buying into that mindset and hanging on to that mindset takes me out of the hopscotch game. Everyone else is waiting for me to, you know, to join in. So
yeah, and you know, we can go on and on and on with universal principles. There is a sheet here that you're all going to get, which, you know, goes into many of these truth statements that you can adopt as you walk through this daily process. And certainly you can do this yourself. We're teaching you the process so you can coach yourself. With that said, we're too close to ourselves to be super effective, especially when we bring something new in. So I highly recommend that you consider working with Lorendi, working with me, and we each have, we'll put this on the board, ways that you could set up a complimentary session with us, and we'll make sure that everybody gets those links before we end this call. So if you're struggling and you're ready to bring this new practice into your daily life, why not wait why wait another minute, right?
Absolutely.
Yes. So another practice, and I love this one because it kind of ties into what many of us refer to as the bucket list, right? I love and dive into discomfort, and a lot of reasons why we have these aspirations on a list, or we have these things that or maybe obstacles that we fear. These really keep us from showing up in a big way if we don't give ourselves over to them. So dive into the discomfort. It has like a positive and in a way to turn around fear. So what I do with clients, and I know you do this as well, is really have them, what do you really want, right? We always say that, and we have them list out, I want to do international traveling. I want to lead retreats, whatever these things are. We have our clients articulate what this is. So then you and I can bring them closer and closer to that, which, the things that keep them from realizing their potential. We also keep a list of what it is that we fear. I was joking last week, Laurendy, I was on a boat, and I was we were on the top deck of the boat, and the children were diving into the water 30 feet down. And all the adults were like in the corner fearing this. And you know what? I am afraid of heights. I had my bathing suit on, and I in that moment said, there's a guy in that water. I'm jumping off the third deck. And I kept my body together. When I hit that water, the thought was, how else in my life am I convincing myself to not jump in to the game?
Yeah.
And it was such a powerful practice for me. So we all know the picture, right? This is the comfort zone, right? We've seen this picture. The comfort zone is right here, and the magic happens here, right? The magic happens outside of the comfort zone.
Yeah.
So this practice of understanding, okay, what do I want that I'm not acting on? And what is it that is uncomfortable for me? Just as Dawn jumped off that third deck, that visual of me doing that, how can I be that on a daily basis? And that's why we love journaling. We have our clients get really, have this awareness around maybe where that fear is coming up for them and calling it out.
Yep. Calling it out. And, the work that you and I do, Dawn, and, you've experienced, if you're listening to this call, the light way in which we're able to uncover. And we believe that these are opportunities for us to look at them. All of these beautiful ways for us to show up for ourselves in more powerful ways requires that we look at what's keeping us stuck.
Yeah. So when you work with us,
right way. Yeah.
When you work with us, based on what we just stepped you through, when you have a session with us, you will own what you have to move through. So issue number one, remember that was Laurendy's issue around trusting cash flow, right?
Right.
Trusting that I am the source of my cash flow. That's issue number one. Issue or challenge number two. Really, these are not issues. It's not issue. I want to say intention. They're really intentions. They're not issues. Right. So intention number two would be, I want to start leading retreats. In 2017, let's say. Intention number three, when you do this, these intentions come up for you. And I don't know if an intention comes up for you. What would be another intention that came to you as a result of us having this session today?
Well, it's interesting because one of the intentions that came through really strongly for me is to go back to working with CEOs who need an interim COO. Now, the beautiful thing about what you just walked me through, Dawn, is it anchored that intention in such a powerful way. Like my subconscious knew it, my soul knew it, so I was already speaking it, but I wasn't really owning it. This helped me really, really own it.
Amazing. So
Yeah.
going to that specific, because what we would do with clients, we would do the next two steps. Because
Mm-hmm.
if the intention is something that's here, there are all these stepping stones that we take to move towards the intention.
Right.
So and this is where we talk about SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So
Right.
what are the next two steps that come to you as a result of stepping through what we stepped through today?
You mean based on the SMART goal
Yeah, what are the next two
principles?
steps for you to become closer to that interim COO
Yeah,
role?
so the first thing is just comes immediately. It may not be exactly the right, but if we had more time, we'd further explore it. But to make sure that what's coming out of my mouth is that directed, right? Because if I can't speak it out of my mouth directly, it's not going to show up on my website. It's not going to show up in my conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's first and fundamental. I have
Right.
to be able to speak it.
So then you and I would do we would sit down and we'll do this. We'll set a time,
Right.
you and I, to come up with a communication plan around, okay,
Mm-hmm.
this is who I am. This is who I serve. This is the
Mm-hmm.
process I take people through. This is how you can start with me, or
Right.
this is the call to action to learn more. Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be that communication plan and the SMART goal would be that Dawn and I will meet on Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern time and spend an hour developing
Create the communication plan. Right.
Yeah. So it's time bound. It's measurable. We'll know we're successful on Saturday morning because it's measurable. We did it on Friday.
Right.
So that's what SMART goals mean. And then number two, it could be something like I will use LinkedIn or my contacts and have exploration phone calls with 10 people who
Yep.
are in the field that, I'm going to move towards and own again.
Right. Is exactly what I was going to say. Then my next step is to now take that communication plan to the streets in a very systematic, again, also a very step-by-step, measurable, actionable, using my SMART plan.
Yeah. So what we stepped you through today is the Own It practice. And we'll just remind you of each element. Remember, the first thing we did was the audit, and we went through those 5 filters. And by the way, there will be a worksheet. It's on this page that you can access. So you have all the tools you'll need to do this on a daily basis. So we did the audit. Then the next piece of it was the Own It process. So remember, what we did was we went through the 4 steps to Unstuck, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we sealed the deal with Ho'oponopono. Some of my clients do. We read Busting Loose from the Money Game, and we do the mini process, and that seals it. But whatever it is, some of you may have a prayer. There are different modalities that speak about just joining with that which you intend to execute, the new paradigm, and feeling the volume of that being turned up by, a factor of 100, right?
Right.
So then the third piece of what we did was we talked about the truth statements, and then we talked about the dive into discomfort. So just having awareness around this on a daily basis and going first, diving in, and how that supercharges everything. And then discomfort. And then the last piece of it was the intention, getting clear around the intention and identifying your next 2 steps. And this is how we self-coach. This is what we do day after day to turn up the volume on consciousness. We meditate, we study. When we can shut the chatter off, shut the ego mind off, we go to a place of peace and what's true. And it's like there's wind beneath our wings to go through the process that we just shared with you today. And Lorendi, how brilliant is this process?
Thank you so much, Dawn, for walking me through.
And this is what we've been
so
doing for a while.
enlightening.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it comes down to this and over, and we encourage you to own it. So before we leave, I want to give you, Lorendi, your schedule once calendar is meetme.so.
/ Lorendi.
Lorendi. So that's you would go to www.meetme.so/Lorendi, and you will be able to get some time with Lorendi. For me, it's /Dawn D. So meetme.so/Dawn D. Lorendi, we really want for you to reach out to us. Thank you so much for being by my side as we introduce all of this. And, you know, let's get healthy, guys. Let's release the stress. That's the source of everything that's holding us back. And bring us out, Lorendi.
I was just going to say, as you were finishing up, I was, for my CEOs, turn up the volume of awareness so you can solve all problems.
I love it.
Really
That's
straightforward.
Communication.
Yeah.
Turn up the volume of awareness to solve
all problems.
All problems.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to get this recording to your CEOs and to all of the people that are really ready to hear this, who have hit that ceiling of tolerance, who are, saying that they want a better way. This is the better way.
Thank you so much, Dawn. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Okay.